One of the things that we handle here is our claims under the False Claims Act, which is a federal statute and set of statutes that is designed to encourage people with information about fraud being perpetrated against the federal government to come forward and file a claim essentially in the shoes of the United States or on behalf of the United States. So you'll see these referred to as either False Claims Act cases or Qui Tam actions, which is a Latin term that means he who stands in for the king as well as himself, referencing obviously the fact that you are bringing the case on behalf of the government, but in a sense is on your own behalf as well, because the reason that the government has given you for bringing this information forward is that you get a significant, potentially significant piece of any recovery that the government may enjoy. The cases usually proceed this way. You contact an attorney who knows how to handle these matters. They put together a complaint. The complaint's filed in a federal court under seal, so it's secret. The secrecy aspect of it is really important because in order for a person who brings this kind of claim, and they're called, you'd be called a relator, in order for you to be a relator, you can't be bringing forward information that has been in the public domain, because essentially that would indicate that you are you're just bringing information that everybody else could have had or the government could have had. So you need to keep these to yourself instead of broadcasting them to the media or anything like that. The case will be filed under seal and shared with the Attorney General's office, and the Attorney General's office will get a chance to decide if they want to pick up the case themselves and proceed. They'll have typically 60 days initially to make that decision. It's often extended out as the Attorney General's office investigates your claim to make the decision about whether or not the government wants to go ahead and proceed. If the government does decide to intervene and proceed for you, your recovery ranges from 15 to 25% of the recovery to the government. And that will depend on a number of factors, including how actually helpful your information was. If the government decides not to intervene, the case would be unsealed and you would be able to proceed on your own on behalf of the government, in which case, if you prevail, you would be entitled to up to 30% of the recovery for Uncle Sam. So the potential amounts are quite large. The government pays out hundreds of billions of dollars a year to relators as rewards for bringing forward these types of claims. And the reason they do that is because this is sort of a public policing function that the government wants to encourage people to engage in, because it's obviously very expensive, would be very expensive for the government to rely completely on its own regulators to ferret out the types of fraud that are being perpetrated on the government without that type of help. One of the things that's important, if you think that you've got information that would lead to a Qui Tam action, is to make sure that you contact somebody who understands the intricacies of the federal statutes, because they're not necessarily straightforward. We're now handling a couple, including one fairly large potential claim that we received from somebody who had heard about us through some of our former clients.